Good evening, everybody. With the time being 8:48, I would like to call the Government Operations Committee to order. Roll call, please.
Bessner.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Sulkaitis.
Here.
Folks.
Here.
Bungard.
Here.
Munns.
Here.
Gem.
Here.
Spellman.
Here.
Petrilla.
Here.
Warble.
Here.
Wonderful. First, I'd like a motion and a second to approve the items on the omnibus
Munns move.
bill. Motion by Munns, seconded by Spellman. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. That is approved. Next up, we have two presentations from Police Chief Likens. Item 5A is a recommendation to approve an amplification and IDOT resolution for the closure of Main Street for the St. Patty's Day Parade on Saturday, March 14th. Go ahead, Chief.
Good evening. So yes, I stand before you tonight with a recommendation to approve a permit for amplification for the parade and the viewing stand, and also the IDOT resolution for the closure of Main Street for the St. Patrick's Day Parade. It will also include some collateral street closures starting a little bit before the parade. There is no changes from last year, I'm told. Jenna could not be here tonight. I'm not sure if she is on or not. She might be on the Zoom if you have other questions specifically for the Alliance. But overall, no changes. So we'd be seeking approval for both the amplification and the resolution.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chief. Any questions?
Move for approval.
Second.
No questions. So I have a motion by Bongard, seconded by Folks. Roll call, please.
Bessner.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes. I don't vote. I'm a chair. Sorry.
Sulkaitis.
Yes.
Folks.
Yes.
Bungard.
Yes.
Munns.
Yes.
Gem.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Petrilla.
Yes.
Warble.
Yes.
All right. That motion carries. Thank you very much. Next up, we have item 5B. Go ahead, Chief.
Yes. So next up tonight, earlier before the Liquor Commission, was a proposal to approve a liquor license for BYT Enterprise, LLC, doing business as Gallo Santo. This proposal is for a new B1 with a 1 o'clock a.m. also late night liquor license for a new restaurant to be proposed at 215 West Main Street. It will be a Mexican restaurant, family owned. They are here with us in the audience tonight. This is their first business venture. They're happy to try this in St. Charles. They're going to be open for breakfast. They're going to close, and then they will be open again for dinner. They seek to employ about 17 to 20 employees, with about 10 working at any given time. This location that they're proposing back in 2022 had a fire, so there is some outstanding issues that have to be addressed, including inspection by code enforcement and by the fire department. They are currently working on the build-out of that building. So the Liquor Commission did approve a license earlier this evening with conditions, obviously, that must be corrected prior to the receiving a certificate of occupancy. But this is a lifelong dream of theirs. It's going to be kind of a mother-daughter, supported by dad and husband here, and a couple other family members that would be involved. So that was approved earlier this evening.
Great. Any questions? Go ahead, Ryan.
I just want to say thank you for choosing St. Charles to open your business, and with that being said, move for approval.
Second.
So I have a motion by Warball, seconded by Petrilla. Roll call, please.
Bessner.
Yes.
Sulkaitis.
Yes.
Folks.
Yes.
Bungard.
Yes.
Munns.
Yes.
Gem.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Petrilla.
Yes.
Warble.
Yes.
That motion carries. You are approved. Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you.
Now, we are going to get a presentation from AJ, Public Works Manager, regarding snow and ice operations.
I think we're going to stick with just snow, not
Snow.
ice tonight.
No?
Yeah.
No ice?
Oh, ice?
Today.
Snow.
Got rid of it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We talked enough about ice tonight.
There you go.
So, thank you for taking the time to do presentations tonight. In the past, when I've done presentations like this, that would help. In the past, when I've done presentations like this, I've littered it with statistics. This one's going to focus more on our operations. These first few slides, I'm going to move kind of quickly through just to set up the background. So our staff operations during snow and ice events, we run 2 shifts, AM to PM, or AM, midnight to noon, and then noon to midnight. We have 18 plow operators per shift, running 4 main routes, 13 geographic zones, and then 1 in a little machine running a pedestrian route downtown. To supplement that operation, we use contractors in 9 cul-de-sac and alley routes. We have 198 cul-de-sacs. You can see in the image, we provide each cul-de-sac with a map to show where snow piles are to be located. and I'll get into that a little bit more later on. In addition, we have a contractor that runs downtown parking lots and sidewalks. So just to kind of see how we have everything broken up, our geographic zones, we use this for a lot of our public services operations. Zones are broken up. They're all 7 to 10 center line miles each. It'll take us about 3 to 4 hours to clear curb to curb in a snow operation. The thick black lines are our main routes. Those are about half the size, so we can go through them faster. All of our main routes have wing plows. Again, we're going for quick coverage because we want to hit those faster. That's really wet pavement while it's snowing is kind of the expectation on those routes. As you see, those are high traffic volume, higher speed roads. In the downtown area, we maintain 21 parking lots, as well as sidewalks and the plazas adjacent to our city properties. So the pink is the downtown sidewalks that we maintain, and pedestrian paths and parking lots are listed or noted in blue. So to get into the operations, I'm going to run through a, quote, typical snow event, noting that no event is typical. Temperature, rate of snow, time of day, they're all factors, right down to, what equipment. This time of year, we're getting into the winter, so things break. It's cold, hydraulic lines break, what equipment, what's the condition of our staff running multiple nights in a row. So all these kind of impact how we attack a winter event. So leading up to it, 1 to 2 days in advance, we're monitoring the weather. The city subscribes to several weather services or radar services so we can have accurate readings of when the storm's actually going to come. Depending on the conditions, we'll pre-treat the roads. That's going to give us a barrier between the road and snow or ice as it comes. So when we do come in, we'll have a little leeway and still be able to plow it up so we're not just working on a sheet of ice. We're establishing our crews. The Public Services Division takes the lead for snow and ice operations, but all Teamsters working for the city are involved in the program, so that's our water, wastewater guys, building and code guys, even our meter and communication technicians supplement the workforce. During this period, before the event, we're putting our contractors on notice. Hey, we're expecting weather. We may call you. If you recall, all our contractors are hourly rate basis or a price per push basis, so we're not calling them in, willy-nilly. We're kind of waiting to see how the storm develops, how we're going to need them. We do not use them for every single event. And then we're getting our equipment prepared, loading salts, making sure hydraulic lines are working, curb shoes are in good shape, everything's ready to go. So during the event, active snow, as I noted before, our main routes, we're working to keep cleared curb to curb. Depending on the rate of snowfall, I'm sure you've noticed in your neighborhoods different tactics in the residential neighborhood. If we're seeing an inch or more of snow per hour, we're probably just center lining the road, trying to keep things open, passable, and safe. And then once it tapers, we're going to go through and do curb to curb. Our salt use during this time is focused. As we're running around, we don't want to be pushing it off the road. We don't want to use it unnecessarily. So hills, bridges, intersections, school zones, and then the main routes, obviously. This time we're continuing to monitor the weather. We're looking heavily at the radar, seeing are we going to get another blast before this thing tapers out, or are we just going to be able to ride this one into the sunset? And depending on how it's coming, when it's coming, if it's an overnight event and we're getting ready for a morning rush, do we need contractors to come in? So we need to keep our guys focused on keeping the roads open, have contractors come in to get the cul-de-sacs, or are we able to get in there and handle them ourselves? So during that same event, after the snow stops, so that's our transition point, all roads are being cleared curb to curb. We're clearing intersections. I know this is one that we got feedback on when we were doing the social media blast about this presentation. Our goal is to push the snow into, we'll call it the crust of the pie. If the sidewalk comes together here and it creates that little pie shape in the intersection, we do want to push up into the middle and avoid getting on sidewalks. It's approach angle, it's a 10, 11-foot plow and a 6 to 8-foot parkway. There are issues that hinder us, but it is definitely something we've been talking about, even right down to direction of travel. I know in my neighborhood I've witnessed guys trying to get the route done, so they're hitting both corners at the same time. We've talked about having guys, you have to be traveling the right way to get the angle right on a corner. So it's things we're talking through, working through. We're pulling our neighbors. This is not a complaint that's unique to St. Charles, we'll put it that way. But we are definitely open to improving our operation to make sure we're giving our residents the best service. So after the snow stops, this is, again, I'm going to say focus salt use. It's going to depend on conditions. What did we have to do to get the snow off the road in the first place? Did we have to use salt during the event? What's coming up next? So if it's going to drop and freeze like it has these last few days, we're going to make sure we're not going to create a refreezing event. You get wet pavement on the street after you plow. Sorry, my mouth is getting dry. We're going to use salt to make sure that we can make sure the roads are safe. So if you're getting a 32, even a 30-degree day that's sunny, pavement temps are going to get above freezing. You're going to get melt off. We don't necessarily need to use salt. But if we're getting a deep drop, that's where we might use salt, crowning all roads. After event activities, so this primarily takes place during regular business hours after the event. So storm's over, we're not really done. We're hauling piles from our parking lots and parking decks downtown. I know you guys have all noticed the glacier that we have back at the old PD. We're working on knocking it down. We get a few more sunny days, we'll get her gone. And we are working to identify a new and better location for that for next year. I think it's one of those, if we will find it or we will make it, it's going to happen. So we're auditing our cul-de-sac pile locations at this time. We had to call contractors in, especially after big events or after multiple events in a row. Piles get big, contractors are getting, anxious as to where they can put it with their equipment. They're using smaller trucks, which makes them nimble and ideal for those cul-de-sacs, but it also limits their options as to how high and hard they can push the snow. So during these after-event activities, as we're auditing these pile locations, we're also relocating them to make sure we're away from fire hydrants, mailboxes, driveways, and not obscuring sight lines coming in and out of the cul-de-sacs. This time we're also doing pedestrian clearing in non-downtown areas. We work with the 303 to identify their walking routes. We have a list of areas we go through to make sure if we do pile up on intersections, sidewalk intersections, we're shoveling those out. So far this year, we're 14 events into it. We have not gotten a call from D303 yet, so we've been pretty well on top of that operation. And then downtown cleanup, and that's kind of a unique animal by itself. So downtown cleanup is, you get the windrows from the plows on the sidewalk, you get people shoveling the sidewalk to the road, you get these big piles. What do you do with them? That's downtown cleanup. It's usually a 2-night event. We go through, push all the snow off the sidewalk into the street, use loaders and skid steers to haul it out and make the glacier. So, like I said, that's usually 2 nights we do, east side, 1 night, west side. The next night, and 6 to 6, and 2 blocks off Main is usually kind of our parameters for that. I said I wasn't going to throw you a lot of statistics, and I'm sorry again. Voice is cracking. In the last 5 years, we've had 22 annual winter weather events. Some of those produce snow. Some of those are just icing events. We've had 24 inches of snowfall. On average, we use about 2,300 tons of salt per year and about 28,000 gallons of liquids, which is predominantly just salt brine, which we make in-house.
Question.
That was rapid fire.
Question.
We'll just start with Ed. Let's go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, AJ. I will say, first off, just being here 20 years, I can't remember there was a time where snow removal was not being done properly. We've had a few big snowstorms, I want to say on occasion, maybe a 12 or 14 incher here and there, and it always seems like it gets plowed quickly and efficiently, so thank you for that. But in regards to some of the cul-de-sacs, do you know roughly what percentage of cul-de-sacs, residential cul-de-sacs, are being jobbed out or contracted out?
We have a contract for every single cul-de-sac.
Okay.
And like I said, we don't use the contractor for every single event. So if it's time of day, like for example, Monday morning, yesterday morning, contractors were called in because we got a secondary hit, a little unforeseen blast of snow, and we had a lot of drifting from the wind, and we were kind of behind it. And so we're trying to catch up on roads, called the contractors in to help us out in the cul-de-sacs.
And do they follow the same type of timelines or guidelines that the city does with
their contract gives them
major
4
work?
hours to clean up.
Just so that they mirror up, I guess.
Yeah,
is what I'm
and we
getting
do try to time it. So when we do use the contractors, we don't want to keep them on a revolving clock. So they're going in, we'll open up the bulbs, but we want them in to do a final clean push. Is how it's done. Because, again, that is a budget amount, and I really don't want to come back and ask you guys for more money.
And then I know you're not a weatherman, but I keep seeing we're supposed to get anywhere from 12 to 20 inches of snow for the next few days. Is that true?
I'm focused on the two that maybe in 24 hours.
It keeps showing it, and then it keeps, other people say it's not true,
Yeah.
so we'll see. But thank you again.
Brian, any comments, Brian?
Yeah, two things. First, thanks for your presentation, and thank you for everything you guys do cleaning our streets and alleys. And so, first thing is the corners. Speaking of corners, has the technique or something changed with cleaning the corners of the streets? Because I've gotten a little bit more complaints about it being pushed towards the corner where people walk, the crosswalk, and it's really high versus, like a smooth, you push it around, obviously it's still going to build up like the bottom. Is that technique changed, or is that just kind of spotty areas, or?
I think it's a couple things. It's the plow driver, like how can he take that corner? Like how big of a windrow is he leaving himself to push up? That depends on traffic and a number of other things, how tight he can take the corner. And then also kind of what angle he's able to get it at. And I know in your neighborhood, our neighborhood specifically, like those corners are tight. And if you're using that 10, 11-foot plow, and that was another thing we talked about, but is doing this more of an after event, but then you're leaving snow in the road or a windrow in the road that people are either going to have to drive through and create an unsafe condition or drive around into oncoming traffic.
It's a work in progress. I know it's trying to figure it all out.
Getting the right equipment in to do the right job, but also doing it in real time, timeliness, not after the event.
Yeah, and then the other question I have was, maybe it's not so much with you, but with cars that park in the snow routes and they don't move their cars, and it's days that they're sitting there, and obviously the snowplow goes around it, and maybe it's more of the communication piece of it, or the police, maybe our chief can speak to that, or the communication piece, just to let people know to move their vehicles or they're going to get a ticket, because it's just, David and I have gotten a lot of complaints, and it's not on you, I mean, but that's just something that I've heard of. But otherwise, everything is great. You guys do a wonderful job.
Just on that point, we have gotten some complaints. I know we've actually talked, I believe. We have been out. We have been very aggressive and proactive. We have ticketed. We have knocked on doors. We've had to do some reloads. But yes, we are aware of the issues, and we're trying to work with Public Works and the residents to get the streets clear.
Do you think a push, like on our new communication, like, hey, we're going to get 2 feet of snow, please get your car off the street, maybe our new system where we can push out those alerts?
Yep, I think you're hitting that exact thing, that we're going to start utilizing that more where we can. That obviously depends upon people actually receiving those communications. I know we were getting some pretty quick signups on those, but we'll keep pushing that out as well through those channels.
All right, great. Thank you.
David, any comments?
Sure. Actually, I got my text right after Liquor Commission today, so mine's working. So I thought that there was an outage or something, but thank you again for what you guys do. Obviously, quick comment. During the last event, I was heading south on 3rd Street, heading toward Geneva, and you could definitely just tell the difference between St. Charles and Geneva. So I was like, cool. I was going to text Peter and be like, hey, I can tell that we're better than Geneva because other roads aren't as good as ours. So thank you. But just out of pure curiosity, you mentioned salty brine. So I recall in the past, did you guys, or do we still, or isn't there like a red, is it beet juice? Do we still use that?
There's different things. We're using a different product now. I think we used it, honestly, for the first time this season over the weekend just because the temperatures dictate. So typically, to get more nerdy on you, you can use straight brine, just salt brine, down to about 15 or 20 degrees. So if it's hovering in that, that's what we're using. We're going to use the additive, which is a magnesium chloride or a calcium chloride with the beet juice or some kind of organic material to get you down into that 5-10 degree range. But, when it's colder than that, when it's what we're getting blasted with, I don't want to put liquids on the road because I want to be part of the solution.
Well, I just ask because, I certainly advocate and will support whatever product you think is the best and most efficient. Salt is great and efficient, but if there's another, natural way to do it, get it done, I would be in favor of that too. But I get what you're saying. It depends on the temperature. And then also the new spot for placing snow, because we've gotten some calls from neighbors in that area. I get it. The trucks back up, you hear the beep, and it's early in the morning or whatever. So thank you for considering at least another location. I get it. There's nothing back there really, but I appreciate that.
The Audi dealership was there when Woodward just kind of ended. That was a great spot to hide.
Yes. No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Vicki, anything to add?
No, thank you for the presentation, and my impression is that this is always very well managed, so thank you for that, and good luck with the coming snow.
Mr. Ken?
AJ and the team, really great job, so I heard nothing but good things. Just a couple things. One that came up at that last equity and inclusion, and I know Peter's gotten the texts and emails that I did about our contractors that were doing the city lots and plowing the snow into the handicap parking area. So that, for at least the first event, and I know it was really strange and had to cancel a parade, but we got that 8 or 10 inches, and people were trying to get out and they couldn't use the handicap parking spot. So obviously that's a lesson, because I know we have 2 new contractors doing cul-de-sacs this year.
One new contractor doing cul-de-sacs.
The Langston Group or whoever they are, because they do ours. So. And then one other question that came up, and I'm sure people see it, where there aren't curbs and they go around and the plow hits the grass. We probably look at that in the spring, so just...
Yep, so we do... The plow driver for that zone patrols the area afterwards, and he has to clean up his own mess. So there's a little incentive for him to not get into the grass, but that is... We are actively patrolling it. We're not waiting for calls on those. That's something we go through and do restoration.
And I know not every neighborhood has no curbs. Especially the new ones all do, so that helps. But there are some areas, especially in Ward 3, that people don't have curbs, and they make the turn trying to keep the streets clean. So, it's a hard thing. You can't see when there's 8 inches of snow, and as you said, you got a 12-foot plow. It's kind of hard to judge that. So, but no, you guys did a great job, so thank you very much.
Jamie, any comments at all from the second ward?
Yes, thank you. Thanks so much for the presentation and for answering a lot of the questions that we're receiving from our residents. I think it was really helpful, and it'll be something we can point to. I just want to ask one specific question about something that you said, where you said you're not getting any calls from D303, and I assume that that's based on their crosswalks and the areas that we plow for them.
So they give us kind of their walking routes, their high priority areas. And that's what we're focused on.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily whole stretches that we're running, in front of houses for blocks. It's really the corners that have been their concerns in the past.
So I guess that's why I want to ask this question. Is a school crossing one side of the street, or is it 2? And the reason I ask that is I look at Dunham and Dunham, where we have a flashing crosswalk, And it seems like every year now I have gotten complaints that there are mounds of snow so high that cover the sidewalk and the area that they go to press that button that kids can't even get to the button. And it seems like every year this is a concern that gets brought to us, and no one can quite figure out why that side of the street isn't a school crossing, but the other side is where the school is. So I don't know if that can be addressed in a more comprehensive way and make it clear that a crosswalk is a crosswalk. It has two parts to it, and you have to be able to access that ADA compliant area and actually pass through it to use it effectively. And that is a school area, it's a school zone, it's the pathway to get to and from the middle school and the high school for a lot of our residents. So I just wanted to make sure to call that out specifically because it does seem to come up every single year in the snow. But thank you for everything else that you provided here, and just if you can add that into everything that you're looking at making improvements, I appreciate that you're trying to find new and better ways to do things also. Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Bongard, go ahead.
So my comments aren't necessarily tied to the snow removal as much as, sidewalks and clearing that space, but just picking up where my colleague left off. So we've had this conversation for 4 years running of what do we have to do to get that side of Dunham cleared, because it seems to be Bermuda Triangle of, it's not us, it's them, and how do we get it cleared, and nobody wants it. So how do we build this into a plan moving forward where that strip of Dunham gets plowed or shoveled, where, can we get the school board to do it? Can we get D3 Can we build it into our plans? Because it seems like we have the same conversation every year, and it never gets done.
So what has happened is we've actually added it to our contractor routes for at least last year and I believe this year as well to clear that. So we are paying the cost for doing that. And Pete, I can't remember, you gave me the number of what it was per event. Do you remember what it was?
It wasn't much, but
$1,000. So $1,000 per event. So we have taken that cost on because when we have had those conversations initially, I think exactly what you said. It was, well, it's your sidewalk. It's not our sidewalk, but it's a school crossing route. And then, I think like a lot of things, it sort of gets relegated to the city because nobody else wants to take care of it. So I think it's a conversation with the school district to encourage them or help them to understand that this is their pathways for the kids, because my fear personally is just if we're doing Dunham, where does that stop then with the other schools and everybody expecting the city to start essentially clearing all the sidewalks where their kids go? So it's a conversation I think we need to have with the school district in particular. That stretch, I think the problem exists because it doesn't back up against, there's no frontage of homes on that. It's the back of homes with fences. So I think that's where the conversation needs to happen, is at an intergovernmental level between the school district and us.
But we've stepped up and we're doing it,
Correct.
which is that's
correct.
What
we've only done it once, so we haven't figured out a way to manage that under a particular scope, i.e. sidewalk needs to be cleared every day by 7 o'clock when the kids use it. We aren't on that type of schedule yet. It's usually, as AJ explained, an afterthought after the events are done and we have availability to go out and clear. That's what we're doing now.
You beat me to my punchline, Pete. You just took me right. So that's the concern. From a second word perspective, the two things that we're hearing the most are obviously this Dunham, and then the ongoing conversation of, who's responsible for clearing what snow and ice in front of, on the sidewalk of the business, which I know is a different conversation we're having here today. But those are the two that come up the most frequently anytime there's, snow hitting the ground.
So I think we need to continue that conversation. Obviously, it's difficult with that stretch in particular. Those lots being categorized, I believe, as through lots. Is that correct, Russ? So technically, the homeowner is responsible for the sidewalk on the back side of their house, but realistically speaking, there's fences. They're just not touching it. Mm-hmm. So we have to figure out a way that doesn't obligate us to do it.
Yeah, and we have, tried to communicate as best to anytime there's snowfall, we get the same, 4 or 5 families reaching out about them. We're here and trying to remind them that it's ultimately the homeowner's responsibility, although they don't, to your point, feel like, oh, it's in my back behind the fence. I don't go over there, but that strategy, we need something better moving forward.
And I apologize to interrupt, but I would add that there is a segment of land there that belongs to the Park District. That's the other challenge here. So it's really 3 government agencies that need to have this conversation, because the Park District isn't coming out to clear their section of that long stretch as our neighbors that have 6-foot fences aren't throwing their snow blowers over the other side to get their segment that we're saying belongs to them. So I think that's what the challenge is that conversation is continual, and we'd like to make some progress on it where we have a viable solution going forward for all of the residents.
Mr. Folks?
Thank you for all you're doing, especially in our ward. We have basically where our population, the kids walk to school, and you guys do a wonderful job clearing in those areas for those students. I have not received a complaint. I don't want to speak for all of Ms. Alcaides. I guess my one question to ask is, knowing you guys come around, you're clearing the areas, the snow piles can pile up in certain areas. Is there ever a go-back process to be like, okay, this one's really bad, we're going to help clear it for walkers? Does that ever occur? Or is it just more or less like, hey, we've done our part, they might have shoveled out, and now it's just, kids jump over the mountain and have fun?
Oh, in terms of us making
It's like coming back and looking, being like, wow, at that corner for a kid to get over that's tough. Do you guys ever come back and do like a manual out and get rid of?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say after the Thanksgiving weekend storm, we were out for a week shoveling out.
Okay. Yeah, but again, we have not received, and considering how many walkers we have and how safe you guys kept it, just, again, thank you to your department.
So in response to that, we've traditionally responded to any requests for assistance to clear corners, clearing bigger piles, recognizing a lot of people have the ability to do that.
Right.
It's just one of those times where we have to do it when our staffing allows for it. So if we can utilize a contractor to do that, we'll do that too. But if someone's struggling with that, a simple call or email to Public Works, and we'll get someone out there to check that out.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, Ron.
Thank you. Echoing my colleague over there about cars being parked there. Every time it snows, I shovel my driveway. I go drive somewhere, and it's the same cars all the time that they don't move them. And I don't know I know we discussed about ticketing, but it's kind of, I don't think people really, because since we don't do anything about it, they don't care.
So I think one of the comments I'll make while Chris is walking up is, as we saw some additional traffic enforcement that I think has been a needed change, I think we can probably expect to see a little bit more enforcement on the parking side going forward as well. I know Dan's taken a very active role in being responsive to that, so let us have the opportunity to start correcting those things, because I think he's very aware of it, and I don't know if you want to add anything.
The only thing I have, we have to look at it, I think, very holistically too, where, like, our relocation, we got them a $25 ticket, and we're paying, $140 for a tow. We're paying that cost. So it's something that I'm looking at currently, so we can try to fix that, and that doesn't just go for snow, it goes for special events. There's an issue there. If you're not understanding, we're paying the cost of the tow, and we're writing a $25 ticket. So the city is eating that. That's coming out of my budget. So yes, I'm already all over it, to answer your question.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate there's only so much we can do. I get that. But that's the one thing that I've had neighbors complain. How come their car is parked there? And you plow around it.
And that may be a conversation that we have later about changing the amount for that ticket, because if people get those repeated tickets, they start rethinking that strategy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to just provide a little perspective on that and operationally, and I'd like to thank the police department for their partnership in that. And so I know that their on-duty officers and our supervisors that are on duty during the snowstorms are in constant communication about that. And they do make an effort to try to communicate with people to move those cars. It's often more effective than just issuing a ticket. And as the chief pointed out, if we do hook those cars, we have to take them somewhere also. And not only do they have to pay, the city have to pay for it. It provides. It often causes a lot of confusion, and it actually takes away our staff's time from actually removing snow. So if they're out there knocking on doors trying to get people to move their cars, once we get one or two people going, a lot of times they'll call their neighbors. So we are doing that proactively with the police department, and we found that that's the most effective way to get people to move their cars, at least in the short term. So we're going to continue to do that. We're going to encourage our staff to continue to do that.
I understand the situation. I just thought I would just throw that out there. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Brian, go ahead.
Speaking of towing, Chief Lykin, when I lived in Chicago, when they towed your car, which I've had mine towed before, you want it back, the owner of the car pays it to get their car back. Is that something you're thinking of kind of working on, something like that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you answered my question. Thank you very much.
Not just for snow events, I will share.
Yeah, no,
I think we
I
have
like-
to look at the ordinance, and we need to change some language.
Okay.
And recoup the fees that were
Sounds great.
paying.
So Brian, we need to take a hint from the Lincoln Park Pirates. You want your car back?
Yeah.
And we take cash only.
If you live there long enough, it'll happen.
Thank you very much. Are we good on salt? We good on salt, AJ? Chris?
Yeah, I think we've only taken one shipment so far. We're actually trying to clear out the west dome so we can do a little maintenance in it. So, yeah, we're good on salt.
Awesome. The only thing I'll add is that, just to back up what Alderperson Munns as well as Bongard said regarding Dunham, that has been a thing that has been reoccurring. It'd be really great if everyone's counterparts at the school district, the facilities manager or director of operations and the park district, if 3 people can get together and have a conversation, I think it'd be really, really good. It shouldn't be a big lift. That's all I would ask.
Thank you.
With that, is there any other questions about this topic? Go ahead, Russell. You're going to say something?
Yes. So I have a short presentation, a related topic involving the snow and ice removal requirements for private property. So we're going to transition into that.
All right.
Time leap.
No, it's not. Yes. Thank you. So this is a related topic. Obviously, we recently talked about the downtown snow and ice removal district and some changes to that. But with the recent snow events, there are also some questions about what are our requirements for private property owners in other areas of the community, and what are the expectations, and what's in our city code, and how does that compare to what some of our neighbors are doing. So I'll walk through some information. So first, in the downtown, there is the snow and ice removal district. It's a property or business owner responsibility within 24 hours of a snowfall event. If the snow and ice can't be fully removed, the property owner or the business needs to make reasonable efforts to make it safe to pass. And one of the things that I don't think we talked about at the last discussion of this district is it's a requirement that applies after there is a snow or ice event. So after it snows a few inches, someone has to go out there and clear the path to make the sidewalk passable. It isn't necessarily a requirement that it be continually maintained or monitored for conditions. So it's not set up that way in our code currently. We did expand this district just a few months ago to include some other areas of downtown that weren't part of the initial boundaries. Really what we've seen in the heavier snow events is that the removal conditions between the individual properties are not always consistent initially. Some property owners put in more effort than others, but the goal is to at least get them to clear a path, and as was talked about before, the city also makes an effort then to come in and clear those snow rows. The city is also taking the responsibility to clear snow on sidewalks around our properties and buildings. So that includes, all of the parking lots we maintain, the plazas, and also the bridges. This map here shows highlighted areas that would be maintained by the city. I don't know if this is completely up to date, but this gives you some idea. Just all those areas colored in red are areas that are city responsibility. And sort of the gaps in between are things that fall to the property owners, where under the requirements of the snow and ice removal district, they would need to clear those areas. So we looked at our requirements for clearing downtown sidewalks versus some of our neighboring communities, and we found that there are some that are similar to us where they're relying on property owners or businesses to take the responsibility within their downtowns. Wheaton is the one that's most similar to ours. They have an ordinance that's almost the same as ours that requires the that requires the property owners or businesses to clear their sidewalks within their downtown districts. West Chicago also has a similar policy. They don't have a specific code requirement, but as part of their property maintenance requirements, they would require that property owners clear their sidewalks. It is more common in other cities with walkable downtowns to have the city or a city contractor clear the entire downtown sidewalk system. And from some of our neighbors, that's what they do. Batavia, Geneva do that. Some of them utilize SSA funding for that purpose. Geneva in particular does that. I want to note that downtown snow and ice removal would be an eligible service for use of our SSA 1B funds. We don't necessarily have funds available from that SSA to pay for that service, and there's limitations on how much the city can levy to be able to generate funds for that, but we do have a special service area where that's a potential usage of the funds. So then moving on to just general property owner responsibilities. And this would be for any properties outside of the downtown area. They are subject to our property maintenance code, which says that walkways, driveways, and parking lots really should be free from hazardous conditions. But this property maintenance code does not apply to public sidewalks. It's really only to private property. And the code doesn't require that a property owner clear snow or plow a parking lot, but it is there in place so that if there's a hazard that's observed or reported, we have the ability through our code enforcement process to require that be addressed. But it does not require the clearing of sidewalks. Within the parkways in general, so the area between the property line and the street, there is, within the code, it's identified as a property owner responsibility to clear private parking areas that are within street right-of-way or driveways, so your driveway apron, the portion between the sidewalk and the street. It's a property owner responsibility, and it's specifically identified as not a city responsibility. But public sidewalks themselves are not addressed as a property owner requirement, really in any respect. We do have a standard in the code that says that private property snow removal can't be deposited on a public sidewalk or street. So you shouldn't be removing snow from your property and placing it in the street or obstructing the sidewalk with that snow. So we looked at neighboring communities to see, are there requirements for private property owners' snow removal that are different than ours? There are a couple of communities that require it in general for all properties. One of those is Naperville. They have kind of a different philosophy on maintenance of sidewalks. Really, all sidewalk maintenance is considered to be a property owner responsibility in Naperville, including the condition of the sidewalk and replacement of the sidewalk. So as part of that philosophy, they also then require that property owners remove snow whenever there's a snow event that exceeds 2 inches, that they clear the sidewalks within 48 hours of a weather event. So they have a specific code. They're really the only community in our area that has a specific code for this. West Chicago, they enforce snow clearing, but they don't necessarily have a specific code that says when that applies or what the standard is. But in general, we found most of the communities in our area do not require snow removal from public sidewalks. And that list is up there. And the topic of private parking lots or private walkways, we surveyed the communities to see if any of them had any requirements for snow clearing within parking lots or private property, and none of them do. But there is a state requirement that accessible stalls be cleared, accessible routes be cleared, and that other communities are enforcing those requirements as they observe issues with private properties. That is my conclusion.
Okay. Do we have any additional questions for Mr. Colby regarding snow removal, private property? No?
I guess one real quick.
Oh.
Who's responsible for that strip on Illinois, right across from the parking deck? Kind of, it abuts the restaurant that's there without Miyamoto.
So if it's abutting the restaurant, it would be the building or the restaurant's responsibility.
Because that strip is always packed with snow. And I'm not necessarily complaining about that part of it, but it's so tight and then close to the street. I always think, you know, when my wife and I go to dinner there, it happened a couple times where you're going to literally slide into the street. So I don't know if it's consistently that way, but it's been like that a couple times. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? Go ahead, Jamie.
Just a quick one about the mention that you had about potentially using SSA 1B for doing downtown snow removal. I know this is just a presentation, but is that something that at some point will be brought to us to take a look at, or?
Well, at this point, we have in the code the requirement for the property owners to do the clearing of the sidewalks for those that are not city maintained. So if we're going to look at changing that code and making it a more general requirement, that's something we could look at if the committee wanted us to look into that, changing that system. The SSA, that's a little bit more difficult of a topic because there isn't necessarily funding that's available for it. But we wanted to just highlight that it had been identified when the SSA was established as a potential usage of those funds.
Okay, thank you.
Ryan, go
Yeah,
ahead.
so we've outlined pretty clearly, what the city's responsibility is, but how forcefully are we going to the businesses to ensure that they are doing their part? So, when somebody slips and falls and the business owner says, it's not us, it's the city, and the city says, no, it's yours, how proactive are we being in enforcing, like, no, this is your responsibility, you have to take care of it?
Yeah, so I would say in the past few years, because we didn't have a lot of snow events, I don't think there was very heavy or strict enforcement of the requirements. It usually becomes an issue when there's a large amount of snow that sometimes refreezes and someone didn't get out there after it first snowed. And we haven't had that problem in the past few years, but we did encounter that in this winter. And so what we've done is gone out and communicated to those property owners to make them aware of this requirement, because some of them either lost sight of it or didn't know that it ever existed. So part of it is just education, that this has become maybe a more visible issue than it had been in past years. There's a little more perception that the downtown sidewalks need to be more consistently cleared. So the intent is, informational, but then to start actually following up with fines or violations. But we want to make sure everyone's aware and understands what we're requiring first, because I think there is some misperception about that.
So we're going and we're actually meeting with all the businesses in the downtown, overlay, and we're physically going like a checklist and saying, affirm that you understand you are responsible for X. So, but.
Yeah, so for the ones, so what we did in the last large storm is we went out to all the individual ones who had not made any effort into clearing their snow and kind of walked them through what the requirements are and what the standards are. So it's just communication.
Gotcha. Okay.
Kind of dovetail off of what Ryan said. What's the process? They go to adjudication, is that right? And if they get a fine?
Yeah, we can write them a fine. I think technically we could write them a ticket for the fine, or we could write them a violation notice. But if it's a violation notice, that goes through a process. So we have not in the past issued tickets for this. I think it's something that we're looking at doing once we feel like we've communicated adequately what the expectation is.
So, okay, so then you've gone and had communication, but there's nothing been punitive this last season.
No, and actually most of the property owners that we contacted that we received complaints about, they did take action after we contacted them. Well, I think it's important they just get it added to their whatever type of maintenance responsibilities. They have a contractor that's doing the work, that they know the extent of what they need to do and where.
So compliance is happening. Okay, that's good to know. Okay.
Any other questions or comments regarding this? Thank you very much, Russell.
Thank you.
I appreciate the presentation.
Thank you, Russ.
Thanks.
Next up, we have public comment. Sir, no? Nobody's here for public comment? Okay. Any additional items from mayor, council, or staff? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion.
So moved. Second.
I got a motion by Gem, seconded by Petrillo. Roll call, please.
Bessner?
Yes.
Okaida?
Yes.
Folks?
Yes.
Bungard?
Yes.
Munn?
Yes.
Gem?
Yes.
Spelman?
Yes.
Petrillo?
Yes.
Wirbus?
Yes.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.